My name is David Oyelowo, and I play Edward Ekubo in Complicit.
When Guy Hibbert got involved, I think he'd suggested to Kevin that to make Edward a black character. And I think with that in mind, probably had David in his head because he'd just worked with him. So when I got involved, you know, David was already being talked about.
What I love about the script that Guy has written is he's written a very well-rounded human being when it comes to Edward, and I find that when that is the case, your major source material, the way to tell a really good script is that your major source material is the script itself. And I've actually found that, you know, even though I have done a bunch of research with regards to it, the script is so strong that it sort of holds with everything I've read elsewhere. Edward is an MI5 officer, and when we find him in the story, he's been tracking a particular potential terrorist for quite some time. And he has developed a borderline obsession with this guy. And his notions about him, about this potential terrorist, seem to be coming to the fore. They seem to be coming true. It also coincides with a time where it's looking like MI5 are going to extricate Edward from this case. So there's a ticking clock going, both within MI5 and with a potential attack by this terrorist. Who was Willie's interrogator?
I don't have his name.
Can you get it for me, because I need to speak to him?
We should speak to London first.
I just want to set up a meeting.
Well, it's easier if we do everything through the embassy.
Yeah, but I don't want to get mired in bureaucracy.
Things have to be done properly.
I wouldn't think of doing them improperly.
Of course not, I wasn't implying that. I'll speak to London as soon as I get back. They'll take it straight to the Home Office.
From Edward's point of view, he's constantly coming up against people who have guidelines, rules, all sorts of things which actually take away their own personal autonomy and authority.
In terms of obstacles that Edward faces, they are not just of a terrorist nature. I mean, Judith, played by Monica Dolan in this, poses a huge obstacle. She's, you know, his high-up boss at MI5, and she also represents that that thing that brings him out in hives, which is white, upper middle class, educated power.
I understand your frustration, and prioritising is a ghastly word. It's absolutely the worst part of our work, but it has to be done.
I just feel like the resources would have been made available to me here and at MI6 if I was being believed.
Since Edward would have come to work for G Branch, she would have had records of him and been aware of him, aware that he's a bit of a loner perhaps. And I think that she would have been aware of his dissatisfaction as well.
There is this fine line between whether he feels the resources aren't being given to him on the basis of race, on the basis of his professionalism, on the basis of how good he is at his job, on the basis of how seriously he's being taken as a professional, on the basis of the evidence he is managing to collate.
It's my understanding that the issue is the weakness of the evidence you are presenting.
Except this has happened to me before.
What has?
My judgment being questioned.
On what occasion?
It's just something I've been aware of. A desire and a need to prove himself, at times, arguably takes over. There is a there is a debate as to whether it is selfless or selfish at any given moment. You know, wanting the resources, wanting the respect, wanting the attention that he feels what he's doing deserves. Is that entirely a selfless act, which I think it starts out as? What point does that segue into a selfish act of wanting to be recognized for being good at what he does? Again, that's part of the tension and part of the drama in the film.
Lucy, it's Edward. I need a favor. Can you find me the name and number of the man from the State Security Service who interrogated Waleed?
Don't you think this should go through Thomas?
I need you to find out in such a way that the embassy here won't know.
This should go through Thomas.
Right now, they're putting a block on everything, and I need to speak to him as soon as possible.
But do you realize what you're asking me to do?
Lucy, please.
In Complicit, Lucy, who is also an MI5 officer, represents, I guess, the fact that at MI5 there is someone who he can reach out to. There is someone there who he can relate to, and that is not the case almost entirely elsewhere. And that relationship is arguably one of convenience. Edward is recently separated from his wife. He has a daughter, and in my mind, partly why his marriage is broken down is because of this obsessive quality. It's just presenting a very difficult truth about the world we now live in. And I think what Guy Hibbert has managed to do fantastically well is to not cajole the audience into which stance they should take. I think it's a genuine conundrum, and that's one of the great things for me in terms of playing the role, is that it is not clear. It is not, at any given moment, he's having to make choices that have huge ramifications for Great Britain as a whole, in the sense that there is this potential attack, for himself professionally, in that the choices he's making will have ramifications for him, and for MI5 as an institution. You know, if he makes the wrong decision, that is a black mark on an institution that is already black-eyed from Guantanamo. So that I would say, rather than it being a film that sets out to deliver answers, it's a film that sets out to present some very tough questions.